And a Chicago police officer who chimed in on this story says, and he insisted on anonymity. He said, if the parents are so concerned about their children's security, they should be walking their own kids to school. Well, that used to be the case. It used to be the case. I remember a lot of times students sitting in cars with their parents at the end of a driveway or something, waiting for the school buses. And this is in rural South Carolina, where you don't have these big problems that you have in the big cities, supposedly. But um, going on, another story is raw milk prosecution. Um, there was a story about a company, I can't recall the name of it, had been in business for 70 years, and it was confiscated by the federal government and shut down because it was producing raw milk, and raw milk was supposedly not safe to drink. However, our country was built on raw milk, and raw milk has always been a staple in the country areas, the rural areas of this country. The jury saw through the plan to what they were doing with this raw milk. Nonsense is what they called it. And they're saying now that they should send a message, the government should send a message to regulators nationwide. It contends the legal defense organization that backed the farmer, and that legal defense fund was the Farmer to Consumer Legal Defense Fund. Said the weekend verdict in favor of a Wisconsin dairy farmer, Vernon Hirschberger, should be a major step in increasing the freedom of people around the country to be able to obtain the foods of their choice from the course of their choice, regardless of whether that source has a license from the state. So that's freedom for farmers. In case people don't know it, America used to be known the as the supplier of most of the food to the rest of the world, um, and that's coming under fire by corporate interest. Corporations have been buying up small farms and trying to control the food supply. Monsanto is trying to control, um, the seeds that farmers plant for genetically modified foods, and therefore is causing an uproar because people are saying it's not safe. People are saying it's not beneficial. It does not produce any more than the natural version of what they have modified. All it does is it gives Monsanto the right to have a foothold in the market of expecting royalties and copyrights, based on their research, and that's what they're looking for. Okay, today there's a global mass death event that's going on. There's a virus that's being affected, that's causing problems worldwide. Um, they have shown a micro photograph of it, and I will be reporting back to you as soon as I have more information on it. But they're calling it a death on a global scale. I mean, who's to say it wasn't lab created? I mean, yesterday I gave a sermonette on trust. How can we trust these people to make things right and not drop the ball on us? Okay, in the news today also, there is on blacklistednews.com why the next war with China could go very badly for the United States. Most Americans assume that the United States military is so vastly superior to everyone else that no other nation would ever dream of fighting a full-scale war against us. Unfortunately, that assumption is dead wrong. In recent years, the once mammoth technological gap between the U.S. military and Chinese military has been closing at a frightening pace. China has been accomplishing this with brazenly stealing our technology, hacking into our computer systems. The Pentagon and the Obama administration know all about this, but they don't do anything about it. Perhaps the fact that China owns $1 trillion of our national debt has something to do with that. In any event, today China has the largest military in the world, second largest military budget in the world. They've stolen plans for our most advanced jets, helicopters, ships, and missile systems. And it's estimated that stealing our technology has saved China about 25 years of research. So they've taken this big, huge technological gap and reduced it down to where they're just about on our heels as far as having everything that we have. They took a 25-year leap of research and development, and in addition, they're rapidly developing a new generation of strategic weapons that could potentially enable it to actually win a future war against the U.S. At one time, such a notion would have been unthinkable, but as you can see below, the next war with China could go very badly for the U.S. Okay, we've known about at least 10 years that China was doing espionage and cyber hacking against the U.S., and they've had plenty of time to get their act together and to stop it. And this is before the economic meltdown that required us to borrow all of that money from China. And China has such a huge, huge military budget. And right now they've taken quantum leaps in technology, such as they have their own space shuttle, and they're putting satellites up, and they're perfecting their missiles, and also they're increasing their military budget while we're decreasing ours and trying to unilaterally disarm. So anyway, that's the news there. And moving on, ABC News, we are going back to the mother is held in Mexico on false assumed charges. She was sitting on a bus or something and had like about 8 pounds of marijuana in it. The boxes underneath her seat did, and they were open and just sitting out in the open for anyone to see. She was originally told by the officials in Mexico that all she had to do was pay $5,000 and they would release her. But then the husband, he scrambled to put together $5,000, and then they moved her to another prison. So anyway, that's still going underway, and that's a big news story at the moment. Right now, she is still being incarcerated in Mexico under these alleged false charges. So we have to move on to the next story. Anti-fracking bills may kill oil boom, according to Fox News. Fracking was highly touted a few months ago, but now there's a flurry of anti-fracking bills in California standing in the way of 15 billion barrels of oil and the possible creation of millions of jobs and major domestic energy supply contributions. Why would California consider to limit fracking? Can only guess. I can only guess. Right now there's a video on foxnews.com. If you wish to have more info on that, please feel free to go there. In the news today also, and this has been in the news, the internet news for a few weeks now, but scientists have been kind of like mum about this 1.7 mile long asteroid that's a planet killer. It's going to zip by the Earth in on May the 31st, which is 2 days away. And it's a planet killer. It's like one that killed the dinosaurs. It's 1.7 miles wide. It's called QE2. It will hurtle past the Earth at a distance of 3.6 million miles. While that distance is far enough for the asteroid to be considered non-threatening, it's close enough to excite NASA astronomers. And they said it will be an outstanding radar imaging target at the Goldstone and Arecibo monitoring stations and they expect to attain a series of high-resolution images that could reveal a wealth of surface features. But you got to realize that right now we're in the middle of a shower of asteroids and meteoroids, and we are looking at what the Bible described as a sign of the end times. Would be that there would be an asteroid-like impact with the Earth, and it will be bitter, and it will be called wormwood, which means bitter. And if you've studied astronomy and if you studied anything about asteroids, you'll notice that there's a lot of hydrocarbons that are inside meteorites that come from asteroids, and these include things like arsenic, which has a bitter taste to it. So according to biblical prophecy, a series of asteroids will hit the Earth, and it will cause the Earth's water fresh water to become bitter. And one will fall in the ocean and kill the ocean. And this asteroid was discovered just as recently as August 19th. This doesn't seem like a recent discovery. August 19th, 1998. But it won't make it won't make another close approach to Earth for at least the next 200 years. But with the orbital mechanics in place, with gravitational influence between that and the moon and the sun, all of that could change. All of that could change very, very rapidly and quickly. Anyway, follow-up story on that is that scientists are gathering together to discuss the asteroid threat mitigation, and they're meeting in Spain this week to discuss the threats that asteroids pose to the Earth. And you've heard of the meteor explosion over Russia, where it blew out all the windows of the hotels and caused some injuries. And it was just the hand of God that kept it from hitting in a major metropolitan area, but it passed by a metropolitan area with its air burst and everything. It created a huge explosion. So we have that into play, and all of these things are really coming into prophecy. About the laws and the times being changed, about man's, the Chinese, the people from the East are going to be participating in the War of Armageddon. And the kings of the East are going to cross over the Euphrates River, and they're going to all meet into a place called Megiddo, which is where Armageddon gets its name. It's in Israel, and they're all going to be there. The Russians are going to be there. The Chinese are going to be there.